Texas had a land grant system. At the time, members of the Matledge family immigrated to Texas from Germany in the 1880s. The farm's original Texas land grant was established with the state in 1886. The property was purchased by brothers Charles and Frederick Matledge, awaiting final issuance of the grant in 1890, a 4-year process. Frederick Matledge died of pneumonia in 1901. Charles Matledge, Mark's grandfather, inherited the property. In 1921, Mark's dad, Marvin, was born on the property on Christmas Day. Mark's father began farming the property at age 13. Mark's parents married in 1939 and resided in a smaller home on the property. Mark's mother, Ruth, also had immigrated to the U.S. from Germany in 1926. In 1941, Mark's grandfather became ill. He and Mark's grandmother deeded the farm to Mark's parents and then bought a home in nearby McGregor. In late June 1941, Mark's mom lost a child prematurely. The infant is buried on the property. Mark is the fourth child of 5, born in 1951. In 1980, Mark met Rob Snowden in nearby Waco. They have been together 42 years. In 1980, then Commissioner of Agriculture Rick Perry arrived at the property to present a state plaque recognizing 100 years of Matledge farm ownership. In 2005, Mark's dad died after a brief illness. Mark and Rob relocated back to Texas in 2007 to attend his mother in her last years and moved onto the farm. Mark's mom passed on in 2009, leaving him in charge of her estate. In 2008, Mark and Rob acquired the farm from Mark's father's estate following a long and costly legal battle with Mark's older half-brother, a real estate attorney. He tried to prevent the sale to us, thinking he could just inherit it by right as the oldest male heir. Once the Texas Supreme Court's ruling allowed us to proceed, a farm loan was secured from Capital Farm Credit Association. In 2014, Mark and Rob legally married in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and decided to make improvements to the farm. Capital Farm Credit was unable to help financially, as the Dodd-Frank Act prevented them from lending money for the non-farming improvements they wanted to make. Mark approached an old classmate who was executive vice president of the First National Bank in McGregor, now also known as TFNB, Your Bank for Life, after a merger in 2019. The First National Bank of McGregor had served as trustee of Mark and his siblings' trust fund, Guardianship Fund, for many years during the 1960s. Mark's family had had a relationship with First National Bank of McGregor since its original charter in 1889. In 2015, the First National Bank of McGregor approved the first of 5 equity-based construction loans totaling approximately $1 million to construct buildings and a pool for the men's resort. The 5 loans were agreed to be rolled into the 2008 farm loan that the bank refinanced away from Capital Farm Credit Association. Project construction for the men's resort began in late August 2015, and the opening phase of the resort was completed in early May of 2016 after 7 weeks of weather delays. The resort officially opened over Memorial Day weekend 2016 to a booming start. The bank was lax on providing closing documents for the loans and to inspect the completion of Phase 1 of the project. In October 2016, TFNB President CEO David Littlewood and 4 other bank officers finally came to inspect the completion of Phase 1 of the construction process. Phase 2, to be completed in 2 segments, was underway but not scheduled for completion until October 2017. At the meeting in October of 2016, Littlewood informed us, "I and the bank have changed our mind. We will not be rolling the loans until one loan is discussed. That is the bank's prerogative." Mark and Rob were astounded. Littlewood suggested that all loans be serviced as separate interest-only loans for 1 year, with the bank's option to extend the loans, interest-only, for an additional year. In November 2019, Mark and Rob were forced to file Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Bankruptcy was filed to thwart foreclosure. TFNB was their only creditor. In another meeting with Littlewood and his bank officer's entourage, Littlewood actually stated that Mark and Rob are too old to own and operate a farm and the business. In yet a separate meeting, Littlewood suggested to Mark and Rob that they file bankruptcy. However, Littlewood stated with a smirk on his face, "You can file bankruptcy, but the judge will rule in our favor. We will get the farm." As of August 2020, the First National Bank of McGregor, DBA TFNB, your bank for life, had collected in excess of $250,000 in interest-only fees and adequate protection payments for the 5 construction loans. No payments were applied to reducing principal. The bank has spent in excess of $900,000 in legal fees with 3 separate law firms, 2 in Dallas and 1 in Austin, in order to defend itself against our lawsuits in both state and federal courts. We filed suits on October 4, 2020 against TFNB, its president CEO, and loan officer Frederick Mathis on grounds of fraud, fraud in the inducement, as well as 80 more associated pleadings. The bank's pleadings in bankruptcy court, the initial federal court hearing, and the initial state court hearing were full of open references to the gay aspect of our resort, as if it were an illegal and certainly distasteful business. Each and every petition and brief submitted to the court always included references to gay, clothing optional, men's resort, catering to the gay community. Depositions conducted with Mark and Rob primarily involved their business on the property, which so happened to cater to the gay community. Other relevant issues were secondary. Our filings currently are pending rehearing in the 414th District Court, Waco, illegal foreclosure and eviction, and an appeal of the Waco Federal Court's ruling to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, New Orleans, fraud.